We'll go ahead and do that, okay? All right, so let's start with, last time we were talking about like proportions, I guess. We were talking about similar shapes, where what if we had a triangle that was 4 by 6, and then we had a smaller triangle that was 2 by 3. Well, if we compare these two, right? And let's just say I'm going to put the height over the base, right? I mean, 4 over 6 actually simplifies to 2 over 3. So we could actually say that these are similar, right? The only thing is maybe like this one shrunk down by half, or if you want to look at it the other way, this one multiplied by 2. Okay. Now, we talk a little bit about this because we use triangles to sort of find slope. Okay. If you guys can remember that whole, sort of rise over run thing, right? The way it works is that, let's say we have this right here. Let's say we have a graph. And, my God. Okay. I don't know why it keeps on doing that. Oh, I think that's what it is. All right. There we go. Okay, so let's say we have a graph like this, and we're trying to find the slope. We would do rise over run. Oh my gosh. Rise over run. Okay, rise over run. And what that creates is that it creates a couple triangles. And so I guess we sort of need to learn how to interpret them. Okay. So yeah, we're going to talk about slope. When you guys come back from break, we'll probably go into it a little bit more so that we can understand it. But for now, we just kind of need to learn how to, how to find it, how to calculate it and whatnot. But yeah, there are 4 types, right? So we have a positive slope, we have negative, we have 0, and we have what we would call undefined. Undefined. Okay. So a positive slope is a line that basically is going, oh my gosh. It's a line that is going up like that. That's positive. Okay, when you see a line like that, you should know that that's a positive slope. When we have a line going down like this, that's a negative slope. When we have a horizontal line, we have 0 slope. And when we have a vertical line, we would call that undefined. Okay. Now, when we look at an actual graph, let me see. I don't have this open. Give me a second. When we look at an actual graph, so let's say we have something like this, and we're going to have a line that goes through the origin right here, and that goes through 1 and 3, and so on. So something that looks a little bit like this. Now, what we want to do is that we want to count the points, right? We want to count how many times do we go up? How many times do we go up? How many times do we go over? And that creates a triangle. So we go up 3 times, and we go over to the side one time. So that's 3 over 1 because that's rise over run. Saying our slope is 3. Now, I guess the similar triangles come into play because let's say I was looking from this point right here, and we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to go over 1, 2. We go up 6, and we go over 2. So rise over run means that we're going to write this as 6 over 2. But we can actually simplify that to the same exact slope, which is going to be equal to 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. Right? So rise over run should be sort of our go-to, right? And if we say, for example, we have sort of the opposite of that. Let's say if we had a line that went like this, right? That is crazy. So if we had a line that goes like this, you know, we could say maybe it goes, we go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and so on, right? So if we go up 1 and then over 1, that would be 1 over 1, which is just the slope is 1. But since the slope, since the line is going down, you have to remember that that would be a negative slope. So we would have to make it a negative 1. Okay. So that's looking at it through a graph, right? But then another way is, what if they tell you, let me try and share let me share the whiteboard now. What if they tell you that you'll have points -7 and -7 and 7, -4 and 3. So what if they tell you that you have those points? Well, we can calculate it with a formula, which would be, it would be y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. Okay. So what does that tell us? Let's label the point, and I'm just going to say this is x1. So this is y1. Doesn't really matter which one it is. x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. So plugging it into the formula, we could say, okay, y2, that's 3. y1 is 7, so 3 minus 7. And then x2 is -4, and x1 is -7, so -4 minus -7. So we would have 3 minus 7, which would give us -4. And then right there, that's a positive. So -4 plus 7, which would be 3. So our slope is -4 over 3. Of course, we would try to simplify that as much as we can. In this case, we really can't. So it ends up there at -4 and 3. Okay. So our homework is based on that, right? It's basically just like finding the slope from a line and finding the slope from 2 points using that formula. Okay. Let me go into it really quick because it can be a little bit confusing. Okay, so this is what it should look like, right? So what you want to do is you want to go and say, okay, there's a point right here, right? And pick where there's another point and then go up. So we're going to rise 1, 2, 3, right? And if you notice, there's another point right here where we have 6 and 1, and then just connect the 2. That creates a triangle. So then let's decide, what is our slope? We went up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we went over 2, 1, 2. So our slope, rise over run, should be 3 over 2. And so again, the idea is just to kind of, you see, I did them a little bit higher, but the idea is just to connect 2 points, right? So let's look at another one. Right here, right away I can see here, -6, you know, and the next point would probably be at, actually all the way up here. Right here at -5 and -2. So we're gonna connect those two. So how many times did we go up? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many times did we go over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So rise over run means that we're going to do 4 over 5. But you also have to remember, this is a line that is going down, so this should be a negative slope. So we have -4 over 5. Okay. So again, very similar right there. Okay. And the other one, it's just making sure that we calculate the slope using 2 points, right? So again, just as a reminder, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So if we label these points, and let me just label them as, let's see, we're going to have, I'm going to say this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So we have 4 minus -8 over -14 minus -6. Remember that you're subtracting. So if you have a negative, remember to do the minus negative. Okay. So we have 4 minus -8. That's 4 plus 8, which is 12. And -14 minus -6. That's -14 plus 6, which would be 8. So then you would want to simplify this as much as we can. Okay. In this case, it looks like we would be able to simplify it to 3 over 2. 3 over 2. Okay. We divide both sides by 4. That should be 3 over 2. And let's just make sure it's good. Of course, you want to write it in the simplest form that you possibly can. Oh, sorry, -3 over 2. Just forgot the negative right there. Because let's see. Yeah, -14 minus 6, that's actually -8. So it should be -3 over 2.